Alright, so Chicago Street race. Third race, we've been there. It was the Xfinity and Cup Series, no trucks. Might be the last Chicago race. I don't wanna put it in the air because I would like to come back. I thought it was a great race. I thought it was more unique the first time without rain. But I see how we kind of have a 3-year stop and then we move on. And I think San Diego just seems too realistic and too real. And I don't see us having Mexico City, Chicago, and San Diego. One of those I think lumps out. And when it makes sense that it's Chicago, and when there's already kind of rumors that it might be gone last year, it had to be fought for to keep it. That alone kind of has you thinking, is this gonna last longer? So with all of that thought and San Diego looking more and more realistic, it definitely does seem like this was our last time at Chicago. Street race itself, maybe not the last time at Chicago because there's Chicagoland, of course. And I think, to me, it makes zero sense for us to build the Chicago audience and just to leave Chicago altogether. You just built up this fan base in this new town and market that you had very much lacked in before. That's why Chicagoland has left the schedule. So building it up in a street race, getting more fans there, why just leave and abandon it again, you know? It seems like all that work is for nothing. So if we're done with the street race, I would love to see Chicagoland come back on the schedule. If not, it looks like there might need to be some work done, and if the push for it isn't soon, it likely won't be till 2027. The soonest we could probably get there, depending on where they're trying to fit it on the schedule. I think I feel a little upset that this is how it's going because of how great the racing at Chicago has been and unique, and how many new drivers it pulls in, how many new fans it's pulling in. I'm not in control of the schedule, so I won't fuss about it, but it just seems odd to build that audience and then leave, like I've said. This is kind of more just the race itself. I thought it was pretty good. It was the first full Chicago all-dry race, and although the ending had a little bit of controversy, I still think I'll get into it later about the caution that should have or should not had waited that long. But I think besides that, it was a pretty darn good race, and you can't help a car's brake pedals not working on the last lap. That's just, if it happens, it happens. The caution comes out, the leader is the leader. And it's not like it's a fluke win anyways. SVG dominated the whole weekend, so, you can't complain. I want to talk a little bit about SVG and some of the people that dominated. First off, SVG, he was the person I picked. Yeah, it was easy, but I needed to get a for sure win after Brad Keselowski blew it for me the week before. So do I feel bad? No. Is it my first ever prediction? Yes. Suck it if you don't like it. But he dominated. He won 2 out of 2 polls and won 2 out of 2 races for the weekend. We have only seen that once in 2016 from Kyle Busch, and it's different from winning Truck, Xfinity, and Cup, but having both poles and winning both races at a street/road course is pretty hard and pretty impressive. And if anyone was going to do it at any track, it kind of makes sense as SVG at this one. Like I said last year, he was probably real frustrated. He got taken out out of his control. So this year, he put it on pole, and he didn't look back. He whooped everybody in that race pretty much. Nobody, well, Michael McDowell for a minute had some answers for him. He had another great car that had a mechanical failure, and if he doesn't have that, he's definitely probably top 5, definitely a top 5 car. And he was giving SVG some fits at that beginning. He led a lot of laps, and it sucks he had that failure because then it could have been an even closer race at the end. But it is what it is, and SVG dominates because Michael McDowell isn't there at the end. He could have still dominated anyways, to be honest. That's probably what would have happened, but you never know. Michael McDowell probably is there at the end in some sort of way. Probably not battling for the win, though. SVG also, he's faced a lot of skepticism, at least before Mexico City, and we all knew he was going to dominate the road courses, but people were saying it's almost even worse than we predicted at the ovals, and we knew it was going to be bad. But recently, he's not only getting faster at the ovals, but he's doing what he's in that seat to do, and it's to dominate and win the road courses. And he's done that twice now and has more opportunities to continue next week. And one more road race before the playoffs. So he could honestly end up with 4 wins by the time we get to the playoffs. And, that's what he's in this car to do. And with time, he's definitely going to get even better on the ovals like he already has. With going back there, returning there in this Cup car, he's going to have more experience. He's just going to... And he's just we forget how great of a race car driver he is. He's going to adapt eventually and figure out the nuances of oval racing. And when he gets there, look out because... And he's kind of like how Connor Zilic has the opportunity to be and come in and dominate at the road courses and then still have the chance to get a top 10, top 5, possibly at win once a year on an oval. Connor Zilic has the talent to get more wins a year on ovals, but SVG definitely could find himself winning an oval within the next 5 years if he continues to grow like he is. Like I said, this is why Trackhouse has him in that car. Not only does he already have fans, he has sponsors, but he's giving you the wins. He's putting himself, despite him being 28th, and unless the playoff system changes in the next couple of years, if it's winning you're in, he's going to be at least 16th, because I guarantee you he can win a road course race before the playoffs start. And that, like I said, if it's winning you're in, he will be in the playoffs with at least 16th. And that alone makes you so much money as a Cup team. He is more valuable than I think most people realize, and why when he runs 30th on an oval, they don't even bat an eye, because they know what he's capable of doing 99% of the time on the courses he knows how to drive, and he knows just more things than the NASCAR drivers do at some of these road courses, and especially the ones that the NASCAR drivers haven't been going to forever, like Sonoma and Watkins Glen. When they're at new places, he has such a big advantage just from his experience racing his first 30 however many years of his life. And he's a multi-champion rally driver. I mean, I don't know. He's proving everyone that put stock in him right. Ty Gibbs also drove a really good race. He had a slump at the beginning of the year, which was kind of a slump continuing from last year a bit. But in the last couple months or so, he's definitely been picking it up, and he proved himself last at Chicago that he is one of the best road course racers already in this series, and that might very well be where he gets his first NASCAR Cup Series win, is at a road course. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's how it happens, but he is so close to knocking that edge over and being a NASCAR Cup Series winner, but he just hasn't hit it yet, and it's almost like a race between Carson Hocevar and Ty Gibbs on who's going to get their first Cup Series win. They're both right there knocking on the door, getting top 10s, getting top 5s. They're both right there almost leading laps at many racetracks. You see the speed, you hope the experience and time helps him with the patience, helps him just experience as a whole helps you with anything you do. So you would like to see him continue to grow the next couple of years and hopefully not fizzle out and be a can he win, can he not every year, and him be a multi-time winner a year driver like he has the potential to be. Austin Hill with a great finish. He's putting pressure on RCR not only on the Xfinity side to get him in a Cup car with him winning. He's getting top 10s in Cup Series. I don't know what start this is for him. I know he hasn't had many in the Cup Series this year in the past couple of years, but he is ready. And if RCR doesn't give him a shot soon, other Cup teams might be calling for him for his duties. They might be calling for him to race for their team, and RCR would they'll lose him. They'll lose him for nothing. It's not like you can trade him and get something back for him. They'll just flat out lose him. So RCR is really going to think, do we want to keep Austin Dillon in the 3, or do we put one of our Xfinity guys in the Cup seat? Or do they buy another charter? I mean, who knows? If they bought another charter, it would be pretty bad for them, because they alone can't fund 2 Cup Series teams, is what it seems like. So, and Austin Dillon's already kind of heading towards the management role. It's obvious that's where he's headed. He got Kyle Busch to come to RCR. He's mentioned that after his career is over, he's going to go to that side of the business. It's just sooner rather than later at this point. And do you want to lose Austin Hill by keeping Austin Dillon in the car for 1 or 2 more years doing what he's doing? That's up for RCR to decide. And honestly, I would, at least one of their Xfinity drivers, I'd promote and put Austin Dillon where he can probably be better in management role. But RCR, I mean, Austin Dillon's not my grandson, so that's for that family to work out. NASCAR created this in-season tournament to be like the NCAA March Madness tournament, and we get mad when all the brackets are broken within the first week. Is that not what happens in college basketball during March Madness? I mean, no one has ever gotten March Madness right, because it's almost impossible. That's how the NASCAR Cup Series should be. That's how you create the excitement of trying to predict who wins, and that 1 in a million shot that hopefully when someone gets it, it is ecstatic, and it is, I mean, you would prop that up. That becomes a big deal if someone finally can win it after many years. It's not fun if the first year someone gets it, and I think it's perfect for Atlanta to be the first race in the tournament, because it does throw in like the round 1 NCAA college basketball is. I mean, it's always like 95 to 99% of brackets are broke within the first round, with all the 16 seed upsets and stuff like that. So I think it should be hard for you to get past the first round. And I think Atlanta is the perfect race to throw in that kind of madness to it that you want. I just think with the first year, people are like expecting to really win it the first time. And I just hope NASCAR doesn't make it easier, doesn't change it up to make it easier. This is how you make it have that prestige and have that kind of draw to it. That's what makes it popular. That's what will make the in-season tournament popular. It's not your championship. It's just $1 million. But if it's easy to win, there's going to be no lust, no glory in getting it when you finally can, or that one person wins it. That's just my opinion, though. Like I said, I hope NASCAR stands tall and keeps it like the way it is. It should be difficult, and I'm honestly enjoying watching it. I mean, it's fun seeing Ty Dillon go on a miracle run like you see in college basketball. If you didn't guess it, then you're wrong. You didn't win. Sorry. That's just how the game goes. This is our daily Carson host of our check-in, our weekly Carson host for our check-in, and he messed up again. And this was less him being boneheaded and foolish with how he races other people. It was just him being stupid and pushing the limits within the first 5 laps. I mean, and what Austin Dillon said was maybe a little bit harsh, but kind of something he probably should hear, because you took out many, many cars within the first stage. I mean, especially at a road course, street course like Chicago, where if you make one mistake, there's no runoff, you're in a barrier. It's just a little crazy to see someone pushing that hard, that quick. It seems just more unexperienced than anything. It seems like he didn't have his head fully in this race, and he wasn't in it much longer than the first little bit, competitive-wise. And he's got just so much speed. He just has to rein it in that little 5% back. And once he does that, he will win a race. He will have a chance to win multiple races within a year. He could be a championship-level driver. He just has to keep it within, on the racing surface, and not in the barriers, not in the garage. Keep it clean, keep it fast, and I mean, it just shows lack of patience for Carson, pushing that quick within a race to try and move up one spot. I mean, sometimes you just have to have faith in your speed and your crew, and that is more important than pushing every lap to its fullest. That's really what comes down to when Cup winners win. It's about turning it on at the right time at the end of the race when you're in that right position, not at the very beginning trying to make yourself in the lead as quick as possible. That's what kids do in trucks and Xfinity, and why they lose till they learn. William Byron and Christopher Bell, they have been on a slump, both of them. Not in the same way, but they aren't getting the finishes they were early in the year. Byron, he was leading he might still be leading the points race, but he definitely has lost the lead he had. And Christopher Bell he had tied at least for the most wins this year, and now he can't even buy a top 5. You hope they can turn it around by playoff time comes, because if not, they will be starting on the back foot. And in the playoffs, I mean, you got to pray you have a lot of playoff points, because if you're not going fast, you're not going to make it to the next round. Every round you've got to be on it and at least win a race or contend for enough points to put yourself into the next round. And they don't seem like they're even going to make the top 10s right now. There was a lot of fighting going on, whether it was Bubba and Bowman, Chastain versus Logano. We saw how both of them had words with each other. Logano and Chastain and Bubba and Bowman both spoke to each other. Logano was definitely the most hot out of all of them. And some people said some of the moves were egregious, but to me it was just hard racing with Bowman and Bubba. Bubba was rubbing him into the wall. He was pushing him into the wall, getting ahead of him, and when Bowman stood his ground and drove into him, Bubba spinned. So whenever you're both racing each other like that, you can't really be mad when you get spun. You're asking for it. If you do something to him, he has all right to give it back to you. That's the way I see it. That's the way it's always been. And, it's made even worse with the street racing and the tight walls and the no runoffs. You already can't make a mistake, and when someone's bumping into you like that, you're gonna get hot. I mean, they get hot in normal races. Imagine being so precise, and then that person next to you knocks you off that little bit. And I can see why they're hot, but when they cool down, they should just kind of realize it's hard racing. Everyone, even especially the restarts, it's going to be elbows out. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be clean. That's what the Cup Series is and is known for. That's why the cars are the way they are and made indestructible, is to beat and bang. And so and when you're giving it to someone else, you can't be mad when you get it, And I bet today they're all looking back at it and sending each other a text like, hey man, it was just hard racing, let's move on. But it's what you get. It's what it's gonna be. That's what the Cup Series is and has always been. And and I like to see him fired up. I'm not saying I don't. I like to see it because that's what that's what makes the sport. The sport, is sometimes the fighting in the back, is the pit, the driver-to-driver rivalries, the fans versus fans in the stands. That's what the sport is supposed to be. It's just, it was a little bit, anger was misplaced, is what I think. And it really shouldn't be more of a topic than, oh look, there was something fun and they got mad. Because it's going to be, I can guarantee you these drivers, besides maybe Bowman and Bubba, because they've had experience with each other and had a thing in the past, I guarantee you Logano and Chastain next week are going to be totally past this. Especially because they have no history really. They both dish out some heat. So they're probably going to understand when they both get it back. Chastain seemed to just be laughing it off. And I'm sure Logano came to his senses at least within the next 48 hours probably. New and final topic for the Chicago race was the controversial caution at the end. And honestly, I can see both ways. I can see how the moment he hits the barrier at that speed, and I don't like the people that want the flag thrown for a restart. I don't think that's the way we need to look at it. You can't look at cautions as entertainment. That's what NASCAR did, and we got mad at them for. So we got to keep the same energy going whenever it's someone that just went into the barriers at 150 miles per hour because their brakes went out. We need to get medical and attention to him as quick as possible. And NASCAR, explained to us that it made sense to let the leaders come by. Not only were they going to see if he could pull out, but once they realized the situation, it was before the leaders crossed the flag, and it made more sense for them to let those people go because they already would have had to if they let the caution for the emergency crew to get out. So letting them go during the green light, they go quicker, they get on by, and what the problems I were going to have was if emergency staff, if trucks and medics weren't ready. But from everything NASCAR seemed to say, it seems like they were ready before the yellow went out. They just waited for the leaders to pass. And it sucks if it was any other way and we were, robbed of the finish we were supposed to have. But SVG was winning this race. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Restart wouldn't have changed things. It would have just added time. It could have led to more controversy with more and more restarts. And you would have been mad too if something like Nashville last year happened again. And a fluke winner won because of all the cautions that came out as a result of this one coming out. And I think just bottom line, we need to, when there's a car that is unable to keep going, the quickest way to get response to him is whether it's to just drop the caution ASAP at an oval, or if it's a certain circumstance where the leaders have to go by anyway and you still wait those 10 seconds. It's not like they ended up waiting another 20 minutes, another minute to blow the flag. It was another 10, maybe 15 seconds. And I think it's just a little bit overblown, and we need to focus about the driver's health aspect first rather than wanting an overtime finish. My rating for this race, I had a hard time thinking about it, but I'll give it a 6.6. To me, it was above average. It was above the 5 mark, which is to me average, and I enjoyed it. It didn't blow my socks off. It didn't keep me engaged 99% of the time, but 85% of the time there was something that I was engaged watching. And SVG also just dominated. So there's an aspect of that where it's not the most incredible multiple lead change racing. He just whooped the field. And so, I think a 6.6 is fair. I think it's about around what most people felt. It's just an above average Chicago NASCAR street course race. And I enjoyed seeing it drive for the first time. And, last week I said I would, if I'm a gambling man, I would have put money on it raining. That's why I don't gamble, because I would have lost that money. Final topic, Sonoma next week. The previous winner, which is what I thought it was, is Kyle Larson. I think last year was a sweep between the Xfinity and Cup Series. I could be wrong. But he definitely won the Cup Series race. And to me, he seems like one of the most likely to at least get his mojo back. You'll definitely see SVG. You'll see Ty Gibbs probably again. Some of the normal road course ringers, AJ Allmendinger, Chase Elliott, William Byron, hopefully can get his mojo back on the course he's usually decent at. I expect for most of those drivers that we expect to see in the road course races, they all should be there because they've all been to this track a million times. They've all raced it a million times. There's not really anything new for most of these drivers, so you kind of expect what you know and what the previous races have said to you. And so that's why, honestly, again, I'm going to pick Kyle Larson to win this race again. He's been in a little bit of a funk. And I think for a race like this where he was great last year, and, he's good here every time, really. He's a great road course driver, someone you can depend on. So I think it's his race this year to win again. If he stays on this cold streak, he might not, but I expect him to break out. And like I said, if another one of the road course drivers we usually see up there wins, I'm not going to be shocked. Just disappointed I didn't pick him. But like I said, I'm hopeful it's going to be a good to great race. Usually it delivers. But you never know. NASCAR can always throw a curveball at you. And it can always throw a stinker at some of the best courses it has. So we all hope for a good race. And if it is, even if it's not, I'll be covering it next week. Thank you for watching. Bye.